You're listening to
Whoa!
Potluck.
Welcome to Marvel Makeup. I'm Quincy.
And I'm Kay, and this is a podcast where I teach Quincy a little bit about Marvel.
And I teach Kay a little bit about makeup.
Watch out, there are MCU spoilers ahead.
Also, maybe listen. I realize we've been saying watch out for the whole time, and this is a podcast. Listen up, spoilers ahead.
Listen up, spoilers ahead, because this is a recap of Phase 3 episode. We have come to the end of Phase 3. We've lived through the end game, the Infinity War, through the last phase of the Infinity Saga, which, you know, is actually double the amount of movies of Phase 1 and Phase 2. So it's the amount of movies of Phase 1 and Phase 2 combined. And
Captain Marvel.
Yep. And just to review the movies.
Wait, time out. By the way, for those of you guys probably don't know this, for our logo, when we were designing our logo, Kate asked her logo be inspired by Captain Marvel. And I remember being like, oh, I didn't know there was a Captain Marvel that was a woman. And I finally got to meet her in this phase.
Yeah. Because she was one of the movies in Phase 3. Mm-hmm. And just to review, in Phase 3, the movies are Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, and Spider-Man Far From Home. So, Quincy, what stands out to you from Phase 3? Highlights, lowlights, favorites? How was the journey of Phase 3 for you?
I want to say nothing. Mostly because there's like, as you were going through, it was like, oh yeah. It was such a dense, but like, I don't mean nothing in a bad way. I mean like nothing in a great way, because everything was so dense, right? Like, I feel like I just ate an encyclopedia of Marvel content, right? And like, there was just so many juicy, good stuff. Like, I forgot that Doctor Strange was part of Phase 3. I forgot that, Ant-Man and the Wasp was in it. Like, you know, and Black Panther's a part of this. We get 2 volumes, or not 2 volumes, but it feels like 2 volumes to me because we broke it up when we watched it. Mm-hmm. So it feels even more dense. I think just like it rounded everything out, right? Like all the storylines get paid off. I thought, especially towards the end, I love that they didn't start all bright and poppy, especially with Endgame. I think we talked about this in our podcast, that it starts low and it stays low.
Yeah.
Which I really loved.
Yeah, for me, Endgame was the most dramatic of all the movies in, I would say, the MCU, because you're coming in at the, you know, with the ramifications of Infinity War, half the world is gone. So they really sit in the sadness for a while before they're like, okay, now how are we going to fix this?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you know, for me, yes, very, very dense.
More female characters, I think, more female action, which was really wonderful. I think you really see the world be really built out. I think if you thought the world was being built out in Phase 2, they definitely blow it out in Phase 3.
Yeah, and you know, with the Avengers movies, of course, you have so many of the characters are coming together. But even in the earlier movies, like Captain America, you have, you know, if they call it Avengers 2.5, because in between Infinity War and Ultron, it's kind of its own mini Avengers assemble movie, even though they're fighting each other. In Thor Ragnarok, you have kind of a mini team in there with Loki and you know, Hulk and Valkyrie kind of teaming up with Thor. So yeah, it's definitely all the phase where a lot of things begin to collide. A lot of things are.
I think I like that too, because I don't think I'm sure there were a few crossover TV series and episodes, but I think this is probably, and you can obviously tell me if I'm wrong, like this is where you get a movie franchise that are crossover stuff.
Yeah,
That was really fun.
Crossovers, team ups, and and it definitely sets it up so that becomes a expectation down the line within Phase 4 as it expands into television shows, and and more movies. So yeah, for me, like I said, the team up movies tend to be my favorites. So, Captain America, Thor Ragnarok, obviously Infinity War and Avengers Game. On like,
you have to pick one.
If I had to pick one, man. Ooh, okay. If I were to pick one for like the movie overall, I would probably say, that's hard. I would probably say I can't pick one.
Okay. Because I was going to ask.
I'll pick three.
Okay.
Oh, that's actually hard too. I'll pick four. I'll pick Endgame. I'll pick Civil War, and I'll pick Infinity War, and then right under that I'll have like Thor and Black Panther. And the thing is like, when I was trying to go, I was trying to go through them and be like, what would be my favorite? And I was just like, dang, I can't. The thing is there's pieces of each of the movies that I'm just like, oh, that scene is so memorable, and
what if
I can come back to it
on a space rock somewhere, a la Gamora and Tony, and you have to watch one and only one.
One and only one. One and only one. You know what? It's surprising me just thinking of this, but I would probably say Civil War, Captain America Civil War. Even though they're fighting each other, it's because
they're fighting each other.
Well, no, I think it's because of the movies that are all the team ups and have the collections of characters. They actually, there's the development of each individual character is a little bit more fleshed out in that one movie, because they're digging deep into like what their motivations are in the fight, versus Infinity War and Endgame, when everybody's just like, we know we're all against Thanos. That's the whole point is we need to fight Thanos. So I think that's why. What about you? Favorite out of Phase 3?
Okay, I'm looking at it, and Guardians of the Galaxy had Sperm Dad.
Yeah,
Spider-Man
Sperm Dad.
Homecoming was the intro. Thor Ragnarok was with Jeff, what's his name? Goldblum,
Jeff
right?
Goldblum, yep.
Black Panther, Avengers.
Which one do you remember the most? Maybe that's the one.
You know what, Kay? I think I might. And then Endgame was what we were saying should have been. No, not Infinity War was what we were saying should have been like Thanos's war, right?
Yeah, that Thanos' story. And Endgame was the final battle.
I think it might be Endgame or Civil War.
Okay. Yeah. Endgame is
which is crazy because it was like the first movie, and that was so far away ago, it feels like, because there was so much we covered.
Yeah.
But it was a very gritty movie. It was very gritty and it was very dense. And I think it just was great to see. It was a great team up movie, and it was great to see again what it looked like when the team turns inwards. And you don't really get to see a lot of movies where the team where there's a movie dedicated to the team turning on itself.
Right. Oh, you're talking about Civil War.
Yeah. Usually it's like it's a plot point in a movie. It's not the whole movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And like I said, it allowed for the characters to kind of dig into what their motivations are, what their reasons of being a hero, and what they see being a hero is about. Versus they don't really have to reflect on that when they're all agreed that there's that bad guy. We're all on the same team. Cool. But I will say, highlights throughout this phase, the introduction of Spider-Man into the MCU, which as a person who has seen all the other Spider-Man movies, though I still have not seen No Way Home yet, because I'm still not going to the theaters. That introduction I feel like is, epic, and is going to be like, if they were to write a book about the Spider-Man movie franchise, that's going to be one of the milestones of like, and then he actually entered the MCU, even though there are 2 other versions of Spider-Man in the movies before. And then Thor Ragnarok, and just how that completely changed the tone of the Thor character. And all of a sudden his story was like became like a favorite of mine. And how I feel like it even launched, Loki's character even more, even though Loki had been there from the beginning. Like, I feel like it even turned up even more about how Loki was like a formidable character in the MCU, even though he was technically a villain. Black Panther and Captain Marvel for being introductions into whole new characters for the MCU.
I almost said Captain Marvel.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. It was a good story. It was a really good story. It was a really good unlayering and discovery of who she was. And I don't think we get to see a lot of female heroes' journeys, one without a love interest, and just a female love story or hero's journey, period. Now that I'm reflecting on it.
True. It has
where like something gets thrusted upon and she has to deal with it. It's usually that's very much a male-centric story.
Yeah, definitely. And and just the fact that like she was her power about a woman, both of Black Panther, I think Captain Marvel touched on like very timely and specific issues when it comes to like, stories that the MCU had not focused on, female stories, African American stories, and how that brings with it a specific struggle, a woman coming into her power, the plight of African Americans and what they had to deal with in terms of, being in the world and their history. So those are highlights for me. And then, of course, Endgame. I have watched that final battle scene over and over so many times. And have just, I will put that battle scene on when I was exercising, consistently, back before pandemic started and my gym was open. I would put that final scene on when I would be on the elliptical, and then it was like it made me feel like I was actually like in the battle.
I love that kid. It's so fun.
It was just very motivating to be like, you see all these Avengers running at the bad guys.
I'm like surprised more people don't. I'm talking not about like club music. I'm talking more like people who do dance stuff. I'm surprised people don't like, TikTokers and stuff don't dance to that music because it's so like epic. You'd think it would be something to dance to choreograph dance to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Maybe like a modern contemporary piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see many like TikTok this
true.
type.
I don't know anything about TikTok either.
I just see people post. Honestly, I know TikTok mostly from commercials because more commercials use TikTok in their commercials to be like, see, we're young and hip and people we're associated with them. They know about our stuff. So yeah. And then I guess over this whole journey, over all of phase 3 of the first 2 phases, and just this, what they call the Infinity Saga, because it has to do with the Infinity Stones and like the journey of bringing Thanos and his battle to the Avengers. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? Do you feel like, I've been through all this and I feel more in touch with, pop culture, or I feel like this was a waste of time.
I really do. I really appreciated and the journey you've taken me on thus far, because now I feel like I'm hip with it and I get what's happening. And now when I see multiple billboards for multiple Marvel stories, I understand why. And it's not like, wait, what is happening? And why am I on the outside of things? And it's been great in terms of just appreciating. I feel like a Marvel movie is its own genre of filmmaking, and I'm pretty sure someone out there is going to drag me for calling it filmmaking. Some aficionado. But it's its own genre, and I really appreciate it because there is like humor, there is heart, it is epic. I think I go back a lot to what Donzel was saying about like these being our modern day Greek stories, so to speak, of like Zeus and Hercules. And I think that's what they are for a lot of young children growing up.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And, it's its own, I feel like it's introduced the idea of like universes to the mainstream of just like, I'm not, like I've always said, I didn't read comic books. I've only been introduced to them through film and TV. But now I'm more familiar with the idea of like, there's these whole universes full of characters who I can refer back to, and find stories that some of them appeal to me, some of them don't. But overall, anybody else who is familiar with them, we have that connection. It's almost like its own type of,
it's a language.
Yeah, it's its own history. It's its own, culture. It's its own little like community. Almost I wouldn't say religion, but like,
Would you go to like a Comic-Con for something like this?
Yeah.
Or have you gone?
I have not gone to a con ever. One of my goals was to actually go to a Comic-Con when I was actually working on a project of some sort, perhaps as a writer on a TV show that had a panel at Comic-Con. But that is a goal to eventually go and check out the community and how on all the other kind of like art that it inspires and see what it looks like to have them all come together, because people dress up as their favorite characters and stuff like that. So I definitely would want to be part of that experience when things once they become safe and all that culture kind of comes back in a safe and a good safe way. Yeah. And I guess my other question for you is, were there any specific characters or stories that you are like, you definitely want, you felt like a close kinship to, and then like down the line, you're like, I hope they dive more into their story.
Oh, like something they have yet to explore.
Yeah. Since there have been so many characters.
Yeah. I mean, off rip, I think we talked about this a little bit. I think I would like more Gamora. This is so silly, but I think I could watch a whole show about the Rock character that Taika Waititi plays.
Oh, Korg. Yeah.
Korg. I would love, definitely. I mean, they tease it a lot. Star-Lord and Thor's thing, adventure, broed out adventure. I'd love to see that. Isn't Wong getting his own spin-off series, or are they just clamoring for that on the Twitterverse?
I think that was something that was kind of like fans wanted.
Fan favorite? Yeah, I would 100% be down for Wong having his own storyline. I just saw him in What We Do in the Shadows. He like had his own guest star, and it was really, really delightful to see him there pop up. What else? Black Panther's coming up. I think I would like just to see it. And again, I think we talked about this, Guardians being one of my favorite universes, just to see more in that realm because of that comedy. Oh, and just to see Groot grow up. We haven't seen Groot grow up yet, right? He's still a teenager.
Yeah, he was less a teen still. So what does Groot adult Groot 2.0 work? Or maybe he's a Groot the college years.
Yeah, man. And then of course Paul Rudd. I mean, I'm listing everyone, but Paul read his Bay. And I would say Gamora if she hadn't been sacrificed.
Well, now they had the whole timeline cross, so
This is true.
technically she's still around. A version of her is still around.
Oh yes, this is right. This is true.
And because they have started delving into the ideas of the multiverse and expanding on what that allows in terms of like characters who are gone coming back and seeing versions of them in different times and stories. There's definitely always potential to see people, characters that may not have that may have gone away to always come back, which is always kind of like the double-edged sword of just like, oh, I'm so invested in this character and now they died, and so I feel like I have closure on that character, and they're like, but we brought him back, and it's like, okay, do I want to reinvest in him?
What about UK? Here's what I really want to know, because I know all the major ones, just you as a fan yourself, are there any side characters you'd love to see more of?
Sure. I mean, I feel like Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie is I would love to see so much more of her, and like even delving into her backstory of how she became a Valkyrie and the story of how she went from, they kind of allude to it, but like, she was Valkyrie soldier, female soldier for the throne, and then how she got to Sakaar and kind of became jaded and alcoholic and all that stuff.
They're missing out. Like, now that I think about, like, she should have her own spin-off TV series.
Yeah, there's so much potential in all of these movies. I mean, already in Phase 4, they've been diving into that with Loki, WandaVision, Falcon, the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye. And then
I think they're snoozing on her. They're 100% snoozing on her. That just sounds so like, it's like our modern. I grew up watching Xena. It's like modern day, like updated, edgy Xena.
Yeah. Definitely that woman warrior archetype. Bring that back. And now have it represented by a woman of color. I think that there's great potential there. Let's see. Well, a lot of the Black Panther, there's going to be a lot of, I think in Black Panther 2, exploration of those supporting characters. So I mean, I'm looking forward to that. And in terms of, I'm actually familiar with what's happened in a lot of what's happened in Phase 4. So I know that there are characters that have occurred that I'm just like, I know they have started delving into them. So I think of the ones that they haven't explored that much yet, I will say Valkyrie is one that I think there's a lot of potential for. So yeah. And well, I think that is a good place to leave our Marvel portion of our podcast. So let's go ahead and transition into our stretch and share. Let's go ahead and do some next stuff because I need that. And do you have a share, Quincy?
I do have a share. I have moved from K-Town to K-Town.
Okay. Yeah, you did move.
And I have learned about myself that I hate to pack, but I love is too strong of a word. I prefer to unpack.
Yes, unpacking is usually a lot more preferable. I feel like too, like when you're unpacking, especially in your new place, you feel like the ability to kind of like, okay, now let's set up my new life and how I'm going to operate. And you have like all these, all this potential for like, how am I going to live my new life in this new space and set it up? I
don't know how you did it. Cause like you moved twice in like 1 year, one time?
Three times within like 9 months.
Yeah, I don't know how you did it.
Because I was in a situation where I moved into an apartment, and then the apartment we moved into that apartment, and then that apartment was next to a building that when I asked the manager while we were looking at it, do we have to worry about noise from them? And he was like, no, it's actually abandoned and they haven't the city's supposed to demolish it, but they haven't gone around to it. So you don't have to worry about anything. And then a week after we moved in, the bulldozer showed up to demolish the building, and they started building a 4-story condo. And it was horrible living next to a construction site.
I remember. I feel like you just didn't sleep those like 6 months you were there. I feel like every time I saw you, you were like, hello.
I was so
dead.
Yeah, so tired and so miserable. And because we couldn't sleep because they would work 8 a.m. to like 5 p.m. And, so construction sounds all day, and I was working from home at the time. So it's not like I could go in the office and like escape it. And then I remember, my birthday was on a Saturday, and we had gone to Disneyland that day. And one of the things I was looking forward so much was to go home. We went to Disneyland the day before, and I was going to go. I was so happy to go home that night because I knew the next day I was going to be able to sleep in because I was so tired from the day. And I was like, tomorrow's Saturday. There's not going to be construction. I'm going to be able to sleep in. And then that was the first Saturday they started doing construction. So that from that point on, they were doing construction 6 days a week. And the only day we didn't have construction noise was on Sundays. So I ended up moving out of that apartment. And so that's how I ended up moving 3 times in like a 9-month period. Or I guess that's technically twice. No, moving into the first one.
Yep. Moving out. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, moving out and moving in are kind of like the same thing, but it felt like a lot. It felt like 3 times. So that was a little follow up piggyback on your share, but my share, separate share, is I've been watching the Olympics, and I just want to say that Nathen Chen and Chloe Kim both won gold medals in their events, and it was really awesome to watch them, people perform at the top of their game, especially since I had seen Nathen Chen back in the 2018 Olympics. And I remember that being such a huge buildup for him. And he kind of had this moment where all these expectations got too much for him. And so he had came back this year with so much to like prove and kind of like redeem himself. And he totally did. And then also Chloe Kim was great to see because, she's always, it's really interesting to see like people perform at the top of their game, and just see how they approach the mindset they use to approach it, and how important that is. Huh?
What did you get from it? What was the mindset that you kind of
just like, you're competing with yourself mainly, it's all about
hasn't it always been that way?
I mean, you think you get kind of sidetracked and distracted, and like, you look outside of yourself and you're just like, so-and-so's doing this, so-and-so's doing that. I need to be here like, or there like these people. But you're just like, no, really, it's just you overcoming your own things. And then you'll get to, which,
someone was saying like, don't worry about others. And it's like, don't worry, but like study from them.
Yeah. And how basically mindset and how you approach things mentally can be a huge factor in whatever you're looking to accomplish.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's a great takeaway.
Now I just need to
apply
it and remember that.
Be about it. Do it. I mean, it takes time. It takes time and practice.
Yeah. Practice and, and dealing with the feelings surrounding doing things differently. Yeah. I feel like
sometimes I tell myself that. One of the things that gives me a lot of great solace, moving has uprooted all this. So I have not, but January was a great productive month for me. And one of the things that gave me solace is writing. And that helped me propel the productivity was just, there's nothing I can't achieve with practice. Am I saying that right? Pretty much you can achieve anything with practice. It's just, it's your 10,000 hours, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Like if you, for example, can't dance, just keep dancing until you can dance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if you keep doing it, it soon becomes natural,
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of our stretch and share. Let's go ahead and dive into our makeup portion.
Makeup.
Which, since we are we're gonna have a bit of a full circle moment since we've reached the end of phase 3, and I'm going to apply foundation on my face because that was the first thing that I learned to do when we started the podcast. And while I'm doing it, Quincy is going to offer her commentary, but also talk about the other things we've learned while we've
just to
gone
recap,
through the Infinity Saga.
While Kay begins prepping herself, some of the stuff that we looked at this phase was the many looks of Natasha Romanoff. We looked at sunscreen, water, sunburn remedies, contouring, glitters, sparkles, and shimmer, eyeshadows, Fenty liners, magnetic lashes, skincare such as toners, exfoliating, and eye cream serums and sunscreen and protection again, drag makeup, graphic eyeliner. And that was it. And I feel like this phase was kind of, we got to dip our toes into the more makeup-y, the more makeup portion of makeup, if that makes sense, Kay. I feel like it was you know what I mean? Like where you're like, why does this not look like makeup?
Yeah. Kind of like trying
the more obvious makeup looking makeup.
Yeah. And trying to train my eye to be like seeing the difference between we're creating a natural look that, you know, makes you look like you don't have makeup on. And
which is so insane, like when you say it like that. But it's like that is really what makeup is supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, and
generally speaking, for everyday wear.
Right. Versus, like you said, diving into like the makeup-y more stuff of like, let's put a bold lip on. Let's see what it looks like to, you know, play with your eye, what you want to do with your eyes, you know, like we're literally drawing pictures on our faces and with the graphic eyeliner. Would you say, even though you're the one who is the one teaching me about makeup, was there anything you learned about makeup in this journey that surprised you, or
it has been a
changed
minute
things?
It has been like, you know, it was nice to brush up on eyeshadow technique. So that was really fun to like relearn that with you, actually. It's been really great to see, also just to like not take for granted what I know, right? Because like part of the initial journey was like conveying what I did in a way, and we all did this over Zoom. Let's not forget, I taught Kay how to do makeup over Zoom, not in person, which is amazing. And I think you picked up a lot, and it's been great just to see you grow and be more confident with like your choices and what you're doing and how you're applying things. So it was really great to touch up on basics. It was also great to, what else did we do? We've covered so much. Oh, just like learn about other products in my research for when we were talking about certain things, and like when I would give you recommendations. That was really great. It was really great to have just different guests come in and share their process and like compare and contrast. And I think the other thing was learning.
Yeah, one of the things that surprised me was when someone could come on and they would be like, you know, I actually don't wear that much makeup. Or like, at first I would be like, oh, but then the thing is they would talk about what they did put on, and everyone has their own little regime of what they do and don't do. But it's always not and when they think about it, or in their perspective, it's not that much, because again, they're just looking for a natural look that makes them, you know, that just kind of, you know, looks them a little more put together and evens out their skin before they go out, you know, into public or on a Zoom or something.
Yeah. And that was the other thing too, is like, essentially, initially when we were talking, there was like a lot of hesitancy from me about doing it right. And like making it be a certain way. And it was just figuring out what, giving you enough of baseline tools so that you could figure out what works best for you and your skin.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there anything that you learned or picked up that you're like, that you added to your regime or kind of changed?
I think it was more of like the eyeshadow technique, actually, that was really like, oh, this is how, especially when I was like, oh, this is how you can transfer this to drag when you're doing big bold colors. The 3-shade neutral thing that I showed you for the eyeshadow was really enlightening. I think, looking at different primers, because I know we were looking at different primers to help with your skin, was really eye-opening as well. Oh, and learning like, NYX, I'd use them, but like in my research, learning like NYX and e.l.f. are good products to go to for certain things was really helpful, and they are affordable. I think vegan and animal cruelty free products too. So that was really great.
Any highlights in terms of like, I know for me,
like some techniques, like, some techniques I taught you were things I picked up in my research, like how to apply the mascara and eyelash, the false eyelashes coming in from here. So you're not stretching your face like this.
I want to point out, I'm putting on concealer right now in just a couple spots, and the amount I'm using is very small.
Yeah.
Versus the first time when I used concealer, it literally
covered your whole
Quincy's
face.
eyes pop out of her head because she was like, "Whoa, you used too much."
That's great, Kate.
And now I know to use just a little bit and just blend it in with the same brush that I use for my foundation.
Nice.
And I feel like I've just been like not as delicate, I guess not, well, still delicate, precious. But yeah, not as precious or delicate about like, am I doing this right? I'm just putting it like for the foundation. I literally was just like, man, I almost wiped it on like it was lotion. And then I used the brush to kind of spread it around.
Nice.
And I'm not really like, studying myself a ton and being like, is this right? Did I cover everything? I'm more looking at it as like a whole thing. Like, so if you were to go back earlier in this video and see kind of like how the unevenness of my skin,
it looks like it's just natural for you.
Now that I've put it on, and I didn't really focus on it that much. I was literally talking to you while I was doing it.
You're a pro now, Kay.
I was able to.
I would say, what might help you with even more with like just buffing out the foundation is if you use just a bigger brush.
Oh, a bigger brush. Okay.
Yeah.
This
like
one's
use that
small.
use that for concealer, because I know you're having to go over and over again on the same places.
Okay.
If you get a bigger brush, you'll be able to cover more distance.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's how I did it. This was I would probably once I was done, I would say I would consider this a done foundation step and then start putting on the other stuff like the blush or the eyeshadow or the lip.
Would you have thought 50-ish movies ago that you'd be able to
We didn't watch 50 movies.
Isn't it 50? Because 22
it's only 20
plus 12.
It's only 23.
No, sorry, I'm talking including phase 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's only 23 total. Yeah,
phase 1 and 3.
Yeah, phase 1 through 3 is only 23 movies.
Oh no, you're right. It's 6 plus 6 plus like 12-ish, right?
Yeah, 6 plus 6 plus 12. Yeah,
I put 23 plus 6 plus.
It's because when I numbered in our list, I kept numbering them from the beginning.
Okay. So then 25-ish movies ago, would you have believed if I said, "Okay, by the end of phase 1, 2, and 3, you will be able to apply foundation while talking"?
I would say no. I would be like, no, I would stop, probably still staring intensely at my face, being like, am I doing this right? Did I cover everything? I feel like I would just still think I would still be questioning all of like how I was doing it, but I am wrong.
You feel more confident.
I am definitely confident in putting my foundation on and the other kind of basic stuff, the blush and the lipstick and the stuff. But Foundation
has
and
your
foundation.
makeup pudding. It has your ta-da! Has your makeup putting up application time cut in half.
Oh
remember
yeah,
it was like an hour and a half or something you said where you're like, ah.
yeah, definitely, especially when I keep it basic, when it's just like the blush and just like the lipstick and a little bit of eyeshadow. Eyeliner still trips me up a lot, I will say. I don't do it. That's why I don't do it that much. Because I'm like, okay, let's try eyeliner. And then next thing I know, I'm just like, it's an hour later and I'm still working on the first one. But yeah, with the basic foundation, blush, lipstick, eyeshadow, especially if I'm only using one color, I feel like I've been able to put that together pretty quickly and have the confidence where I'm not like studying it and like double guessing what I'm doing. So definitely it's been a saga for me as well.
So a complete waste of time, or like has your relationship with makeup changed?
Yes, definitely changed. Not waste of time at all. Totally valuable. And I am in a very different place than I was in my relationship with makeup than I was before. I even have started looking up YouTube makeup tutorials. There's this one that Vogue actually releases that's like celebrities go through their makeup routine.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's still a lot. I will still say, well, one opinion I have changed is like there's a lot of things you can put on your face. There's a lot of things you can put on your face. I remember I watched one.
I think you predicted that in episode 1 where you were like, Quincy, how many things are on your face? I was like, 8 things. And you're like, 8 things?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, 8 things is nothing. And you're like, 8 things.
That's a lot of things. There's one of those Vogue things I watched. It was like Gemma Chan's episode. And the thing was, it's like, she had like 20 things. I want to say like, I may be over exaggerating, but I don't think so. It was like 20 things that she put on her face. But like, it was just like a little bit of every little thing, a little bit of this here, a little bit of this here. And it's very light and delicate throughout the whole thing. But by the end, you're just like, okay, yeah, there's definitely a difference between,
you're
look in the beginning and the look in the end. And it was a very natural look. And it was a lot of steps, but it wasn't, as you said, it's not a lot. It's not, you're not putting, it's not a lot of stuff that you're putting on in terms of like you're
not frosting a cake.
Exactly. You're not frosting a cake. You're just throwing sprinkles on one at a time.
Yeah.
And their sprinkles come out of have their own individual boxes in the little containers that you're putting them on.
Oh, send that video to me. I am obsessed with Gemma Chan, as you know, and she's made 2 special appearances in the MCU.
Yeah.
And this comes back to full circle with what we were talking about in our stretch and share, which is just practice.
Yeah, just practice. Get used to it. Get used to, having confidence that you know what you're doing. And then once you're done doing it so many times, you can
get the hang of it.
Do it while you're talking to someone on a podcast. So I think that brings us to the end of our makeup portion of this episode. And before we sign off, we do have a bit of news that Quincy is going to share.
Yes, thank you.
That's the segue. Quincy.
I was like, oh man, this segue is still hard for me. Kay and I wanted to share that things are ramping up for the both of us in new and exciting ways. So she and I will be going on a bit of a hiatus. We'll definitely keep you posted about what's happening with Marvel and Makeup.
Yes. But in the meantime, if you'd like to reach out to us or find out more about Marvel and Makeup, you can follow us on all social media at Marvel and Makeup. So that was the news. Or you can email us at marvelandmakeup@gmail, marvelandmakeuppod@gmail.com. Please rate and review and subscribe wherever you find your podcasts.
And please give us 5 stars so that our Asian moms know why we aren't returning their DMs.
Yes. And because, they subscribe to our personal. They don't subscribe to Marvel Makeup. They, we return if it was Marvel Makeup because that's the one we check. So thanks, everyone. Catch you next time on Marvel and Makeup. Marvel and Makeup is hosted and produced by Quincy Cho and Kay Kanapu. Quincy is an actor-writer based in Los Angeles, California. Kay is a writer-performer for Filipino AF and an alum of the CBS Diversity Sketch Showcase. You can follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Quincy Dinosaur and at Kay Kanapu.
The music for Marvel and Makeup was composed by Clarence Yap and our artwork was designed by Patty Lynn. You can find them on Instagram at Clarence_Yap and at pattylyn.jpg. See our show notes for even more info.
Marvel and Makeup is also a member of the Potluck Podcast Collective, a network of Asian American hosted podcasts. Please check out our fellow Potluck pods by going to the website, podcastpotluck.com.
But we're still here, and we're going strong.
It's an exciting time in Asian America. There are more movies, TV shows, books, and music reflecting us than ever. But all of these represent just a small slice of Asian American culture and experiences. So what do? Tell more slices. Asian Americana is a show that explores these slices of distinctly Asian American culture and history. We've talked about how Chinese Americans built California's Sacramento Delta, the art scene turns gallery institution Giant Robot, a play that explores the lost Cambodian pop music of the 60s and 70s, and, of course, boba, just to name a few stories. You can find Asian Americana at asianamericana.com or on your podcast app.
So what do you think? Foundation?
Your foundation looks fantabulous. I just loved how effortless it was.
Yeah. I was surprised, honestly. I was just like, I'm not even paying attention. I'm doing it. This has turned out pretty good. Yeah.
Don't be surprised. You've been working very hard on this.
I mean, I'm working very hard as in keeping it up consistently, which I think,
Practice.
which I think, it is its own hard.
Yeah.